I recently shared this case on TikTok, and I wanted to go into more detail on it here because I do think it's really helpful for people to understand that sometimes your weight may settle at a place where you don't think it should be. Meaning, it might be a little bit higher than what you were expecting, but that's okay. Now, this person is a perfect example of that. She's 5'4", and she came into us at 150 pounds. This person is 55 years old and had been battling this weight for quite some time. She was very, very frustrated because she thought she should be lower than 150 pounds, and even 150 pounds was kind of hard for her to maintain. At one point, she did get down to 140 pounds, but that was through really unhealthy behaviors. It was very disordered. She was like obsessing over food and exercise. She was exercising excessively. She was trying to restrict her calories way too low. She was counting every morsel she put into her body to the point where she felt like she couldn't even go out to eat with her friends or her family, even just once a month, because it wouldn't fit with the plan. So 140 she just felt like was so unrealistic for her, and even though she thought her weight needed to be there, she could acknowledge that when she was there for that brief stint, it was way too disordered and just not something sustainable for her body to constantly be thinking about food and exercise like that. Now, she did gain a little bit back to 150 pounds, but even still, she was fighting to maintain this 150 pounds. She was exercising for about 90 minutes to 2 hours, 5 to 7 days a week, and she also was restricting her calories to 1,000 to 1,200, and she couldn't see how she could do anything different, right? Even though she still felt this pressure to be below 150 pounds. So she came into us and we did her metabolism test, right? And what we see here is that her metabolic rate was actually way too low compared to where it should be. It was only at 1,000, which is low for her. Her protein substrate was above normal, and her fat utilization was below the normal range, right? So remember, resting metabolic rate and protein substrate are really important to pay attention to because we do not want your resting metabolism to stay this low. We prefer it to be higher because that means that your body's functioning how it should be. The only time that your metabolism is going to come down is when your body feels like it's compensating for being underfueled because it doesn't want to burn more than it's being given. Same with this protein metabolism, right? So the body was breaking down too much of her lean mass, which we don't want to do. That's going to cause some long-term damage to the body. Now, again, remember the body was not as efficiently using fat as a source of fuel because her body was compensating and breaking down too much of her lean mass and actually storing a little bit of fat. So this particular individual was really, really frustrated, and so we were trying to get it so that we could improve her metabolic rate. So what did we do? We increased her intake. We did not want her eating 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day and exercising that much. That was just way too detrimental to the body, right? And really hard to maintain. So we actually had her decrease her exercise a little bit. We pulled her back to about an hour. Some days she still wanted to do an hour and a half because it would be a hike or something like that. But we pulled her exercise down to about an hour and we increased her calories, right? So now this person was taking in about 2,000 to 2,200 calories a day. We redid her metabolic test about 6 months later, and now take a look. So her metabolic rate now is 2,000, which is amazing. That's right where we want it to be. That means the body's not compensating for being underfueled, which is fabulous. And also her protein substrate is normal and her fat metabolism is more normal as well. All of this is great. This is what we would consider a corrected metabolic profile, which is fabulous for this particular individual, right? What I want to talk about, though, is also her body composition analysis. So what's important to note is during this time period, she actually gained some weight. So she went from 150 all the way up to this 164, 165, but that's where her body maintained. So when we got her metabolic rate up to 2,000, we tested that in July, right? And that's when her weight was right around this 165. And then it actually maintained there, not only her metabolic rate at 2,000, but also her weight at right 165, 164, right in this like 2-3 pound range. So yes, it is higher than when we started, but the reason I'm pointing out that her weight and her metabolic rate maintained from July to December is because what this says to me is that her body is happy and healthy at this weight. She was no longer restricting her intake. She was exercising, doing movement that she loves, and still doing so pretty frequently throughout the week. And all of this to say her body was at a higher weight than she thought that it should be. but she was able to eat normally, exercise because she loved it, and her body was maintaining. We weren't seeing these huge drops in weight and increases in weight. She wasn't battling to try and stay at this one particular weight, and her relationship to food was so much better. Let me also just point out that she had completely normal lab values. So even with this little bit of change in body composition, all of her lab values are normal and everything is functioning so much better internally for her. And that's what's so important to us. We want to heal you from the inside out.